How's it going, Melbourne Storm fans? Welcome to the Graveyard Shift, the official, unofficial Melbourne Storm fans podcast, one which you'll get from south of the border and with plenty of pro-purple propaganda. I welcome my favourite Polish friend, Mr. Poleman. How are you? And what did you make of the Melbourne Storm's somewhat difficult start to the long weekend?
Welcome, Dubs, and welcome to all our viewers. We're reviewing our first loss, Dubs. I think this is our fifth or sixth podcast, and it's the first loss we've had to review. What do I think? I thought many things. It was a pretty frustrating night all around. I mean, to use one of our coach's favourite lines, at the end of the day, it's not a big disaster. We're still in second. We had that good run. We built up a bit of a gap there from third. Obviously, the refereeing was incredibly frustrating. The inconsistency from the referee. Parramatta players milking penalties was incredibly frustrating. Our lack of spark in attack was incredibly frustrating. But then, can you really blame us? Like, we had so many players out. Our whole spine was missing, apart from Pappenhausen at fullback. Even that, Pappenhausen's still quite inexperienced. He's had a really great season, but
He's still a kid, really.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those weird games. You don't really walk away blaming any players or anything. I think some people were saying Brandon Smith needed to do more, but
he's a kid.
He's still quite. Again, he's not Cameron Smith. No disrespect to Brandon, but he's still so many hundreds of games to go. Like, I don't know even how many games Brandon's played, but. So we were hoping for some players to really step up and play above and beyond themselves, I think, to win. Positives were defensively. We didn't let them in at all in that second half. Now, part of that was also Parramatta's, poor play and lack of patience, I guess. But, it was all right. And with all the refereeing stuff that went against us, I mean, the way I kind of looked at it, once I sort of, cooled off, I guess, if you're going to have referee decisions go against you, then at least it's happened in a game that we're probably going to lose anyway. I don't really think the referee decisions probably changed the outcome too much. Maybe they could have, had we, I guess that second try came off a Josh Adokar mistake, which was clearly not a mistake. So, there is an argument there, but at the end of the day, I think, okay, let's cop some rough calls, but we weren't really in the game. So what do you think, Dubs?
Yeah, I'm going to echo most of what you said there, mates. I went into the game expecting that it was going to be near impossible for us to win. Parramatta are away. They're having a very good season. They've been a very strong side, and we were decimated. And that's, we can easily overblow an injury suspension situation. But I said somewhat jokingly and then realised it was quite accurate that we were missing about 1,000 games of experience. So Smith with his 400, Jesse Bromwich is a 200-game player. I found out having that conversation that Fanuc is actually due for his 200th any moment now. So he's on 199. And of course, Cam Munster, not a veteran, but somebody who has already developed strong leadership skills. Then you throw Jerome Hughes in as well. There's 5 of your better players. Two and three, in fact, very important playmakers, and another 2 very important leadership players. So while we were able to put a pretty good forward pack out on the field, our back line was clearly stretched, and I didn't think they were poor by any stretch. I thought, good on Cooper Johns. He was okay. He didn't look like he was out of place. He's a kid. He's got a lot to go in front of him, but at least he's been exposed now against a tough side. And ideally, you'd love to bring him in a game where you can play him off the bench. You can give him a little bit of a run. You can do it against a team like Brisbane or the Doggies, who are struggling a bit, where there's a little bit more perhaps leeway to play with. But we were missing so much experience, so much leadership. Kenny Bromwich, I love Kenny, but he's essentially your 4th choice captain, maybe 5th. And then Jesse, I beg your pardon, Brandon Smith, who seemed to be, almost stepping up to try and be the captain. So it just kind of showed there was a lack of responsibility taking, a lack of playmakers, a little bit of a lack of everything. And even then, 2 tries, basically. That's how I see it. And then the frustrations. I thought we should have taken the 2 points early. I know it's not something we love to do all the time, but I just thought any game where you're pretty much up against it, this is the time to actually say, put points on the board, make them actually have to change the game. Cop a couple of tries. In both cases, you think, gee, there's a little bit of bad luck, particularly in one of them where certainly to my naked eye appeared to be a forward pass. But anyway, these things happen. The knock-on that, of course, wasn't called because it was another penalty that superseded that. And little moments where normal course of thing, normal game, that kind of mistake happens. It gives you the momentum to go up the other end of the field. Have a situation where you get to play a sin bin in the second half. So you're already working overtime to defend. Your players fatigue. They get tired. And then, of course, the lovely try or the 2 times we might have scored, one where we got the ball down where it was forward, admittedly, but there you go. It's just that night where your best move doesn't quite come off. And, of course, Pappenhausen looked like he'd made was about to take a beautiful kick from Cooper Johns and score. And, of course, that didn't turn out to work out either as well, because a lovely bit of defending in fairness. So literally everything that could have gone wrong, our decision-making, our lack of leadership, our lack of polish, those line ball calls that just seem to go against you rather than for you. And on other days, they go for you. So whatever, if it's going to happen, you might as well happen now. At the end of the day, with all that in mind, we lost 14-0 to a side that I would say in finals, I would love to get another crack at them. I think with a full side, we can beat them. Different atmosphere, different stakes on the line. I reckon we've got their measure in finals. Not saying we will beat them, but I'm saying we absolutely have a good crack at them.
Yeah, and I think something you hit on too, the game management wasn't great. Like, you're right. I was baffled why we didn't take the 2 points. We've got so much of our strike power out. So there's 2 points on the table there for you. And we didn't take it. A couple of times I thought we should have challenged, like the example of Josh Adokar. And even with that penalty that, superseded the knock-on by them, it was bizarre because Kenny... I heard Brad Fittler had to explain it to everyone at halftime. That's how bizarre the whole thing was, that apparently Kenny was running back, but then as soon as he turned around and took a step forward, he's offside. So again, some referees would have let that go and called the knock-on, because I don't really think Kenny...
Yeah, and it's one of those ones, let me put it this way. Yeah. If the ref had called the knock-on, nobody would have been looking for the offside. So it's not one where we can say we were technically cheated. It's just one of those ones where you could go through everything that was done officially on Thursday night, and you could probably defend reasonably every decision that was made. What would be frustrating is that a lot of the ones that are line ball didn't go our way, and or they went the other way. The thing that did actually really get to me was that I got no problem saying that I think there was some pouring mayo on some of these injuries. Oh no, I've been crusher tackled, but look, I can run perfectly fine 3 seconds later. So your neck's apparently damaged. You're bouncing up into the tackle off the ground. I mean, at what point do we actually say, yes, we have to protect the head and we don't want anyone falling on it and causing neck or spine damage to somebody? But at what point do you say to the player, you've got responsibility as well, that once you have gone to ground, if you're pushing back up into the player, that's effectively simulation. Or you just say, well, you're not getting a penalty for that, because...
We're treading a very, very dangerous. We're treading very dangerous waters with this, because we've got to get rid of the crusher tackle. Because as you said, like, we've got to protect the spine. We can't have players getting injured like that. But okay, soccer. We both love the round ball dubs, but we both get frustrated by players simulating in that game. But the difference is they're simulating, but it's not in such a it's not such a dangerous tackle. It's not such a dangerous sport. So we can't be like, making the referee in the moment go, oh, are they faking? Are they not? Should I penalize? What's happening? So it's a really dangerous sort of line. And I'm worried that rugby league is going to go down that path. I mean, at the end of the day, clubs want to win, and everything you can do within the rules, like, some people say spirit of the game, sportsmanship, but at the end of the day, having, displaying spirit of the game and having great sportsmanship isn't going to keep your job if you're a coach. It's not going to win you, help you secure a better contract. No one's looking at that. Everyone's looking, how effective are you in getting our team points or preventing our team from getting points? So anyway, it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a funny issue.
A final thought, I suppose, on that before we press on from me is just that I agree. Protecting the neck, the spine, the head is absolutely paramount. I'd prefer to see harsher penalties on suspensions for deliberate crusher tackles that cause injuries, rather than referees guessing or going on, or even if this is one where we do have to send to the bunker and say, hey, is that actually a crusher tackle? Was the player pushing back up off the ground? Or was is the tackler obliged to somehow hover as the player goes to ground, or to let go of him and just fall away in a different direction? I just don't think that in this case, I think they've targeted something very important, but they've probably pushed too far, in my view. And I think that it's made because they've pushed it so far, it's made itself open for players. And I won't point particular fingers, but in theory, you could quite easily simulate.
The memes address this issue a bit more. I mean, you hit that on the head, Dubs, because on Thursday night, the referee, he reacted to the players. And then you go to see who got charged. The charges on Storm were dropped, but a Parramatta player was charged for a crusher tackle.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, Dubs, shall we have a quick look at our injury list sort of before we move on?
Yeah, let's have a look at this. It's not quite as depressing as it was a week ago, I don't think, but it's still not great.
The big one, obviously, is poor Brandon Smith getting his jaw broken. So, okay, quick run through. So we've got Cameron Smith. It says round 16. So he's been named in the squad, which we'll touch on in a second. Cam Munster, round 16. Jerome Hughes, round 16. Jesse Bromwich, round 16. Or he was suspended. He's back this week. Riley Jack. Jack also has a hip injury as well. He's out for a week or two. Marion Seve, again, should be, I think he's been named again in the squad. Kenny Bromwich, done his calf.
Yeah, that's unlucky.
That's another one. But
this game
is
missed for ages.
Yeah. Max King is done his Achilles apparently around 19. Brandon Smith, jaws, done his jaw for finals. Dale Finucane, calf finals. Tui Kamikamiko, lower back finals. And Paul Momorowski injured his finger, and he might be back for finals. So that is our growing injury list, Dubs.
Yeah, look, it's concerning because 4 or 5 of those are senior players that you would expect to be, if not in the starting lineup, then on the bench. Kenny, for example, I think has played every game this year and most of last year starting second row. So that's a bit concerning, not because we haven't got good players going in there, but that Kafusi-Bromwich combination was very settled. So that's problematic. And also the fact that we're depending on players potentially coming back at finals. We may be fine. We may have a blessed injury run here, and then we have this situation where players coming in, Bellamy has the selection headache and has to decide whether he brings them back in. That's the ideal situation here. But equally, the problem now becomes that if we do cop 1 or 2 more injuries with several players on an extended break, we don't have the squad depth that we'd love to have. We still have a very, very good starting lineup and a very good bench even, but we're only 1 or 2 injuries away from having to really dip into the kids again. And that is problematic. But at the same time, we'll still be able to field a much better starting lineup this week, in theory, than we did last week.
Yeah. And just finishing up on that as well, like it also, especially if you're injured for a long time, it does take you, okay, you're back from an injury, but it's going to take you a couple of games to get, match hardened again. So
they're going to want to manage them carefully to come charging into finals and not just be parachuted in as a desperate last measure.
All right, Dubs, shall we quickly review last week's results?
Let's go through them.
All right, obviously Thursday night didn't go the way we wanted to. On to Friday night, we had the Panthers, was it 9 or 10 in a row now? Just too good for the Sharks. A thriller at Suncorp, but the Broncos lost again.
Poor Broncos.
It was actually interesting at halftime. I don't know if you saw that. The coach, Seabold, who's gone now, he's finally been sacked or left, whichever way you want to look at it. They were actually doing like passing and defending drills at halftime. It was quite bizarre. The Raiders, they're going along nicely there. Big win to the Titans. Wests got done by the Roosters. Again, that's a really good win considering they've also got their injury problems. This was a good one, 56-16, the Rabbitohs. They were 38-0 up at halftime. They absolutely destroyed them.
Let's hope the Sea Eagles aren't focusing too strongly on defence this week, and we don't have a reactive, very defensive performance. Let's hope that's shot some confidence in their defence.
Yeah, exactly. Then on the Sunday, we had the Doggies. I thought they could get up and put Brisbane last, but they didn't. Credit to the Warriors there. And then it's really kind of a bizarre. It was blowing a gale there at Knights Stadium, but the Knights were too good, got up 12-0. So at least we weren't the only team kept to 0 this weekend. Onto the ladder. So, the Panthers have got a nice 3-point cushion. We're now just second on point difference. If you look down here, it's still a 4-point gap. So the Tigers, especially the Sea Eagles, they really missed an opportunity now to close the gap. Last week I said I think the finals are still up for grabs. I think the finals may have, I think the top eight's pretty much shut. I mean, it's going to take a pretty big effort for any of these teams here on 12 points to and a bit of an implosion, more so from the Sharks, to sort of get up into the eight. And then bottom of the ladder, we got the Bulldogs. Fortunately, still last, but they're still battling on the wooden spoon. The battle for the wooden spoon's not over yet. So that is the ladder after 15 rounds of the NRL.
Yeah. I'd be surprised to see much movement. Well, certainly the only team that realistically can drop out from here is probably the Sharks. And with that point difference, they can afford to drop 2 games, assuming that Wests or the Dragons or Manly win all of theirs. So I just don't see that happening either. Yeah. I think it's possible. Stranger things have happened, but I suspect your top 8 is more or less in place now.
Yeah, you're going to teams like the Dragons and West, and pretty much every game's a final now. One thing too is we're officially in the finals, even though we didn't win. But
yes.
Congratulations to us. We're in the finals.
Well done us. Another year in finals under Bellamy. That's an unbelievable record.
It is. All right. Shall we move on to our match next week?
Yeah, so let's go through the teams.
So here we are. We're playing the, what place are they, the Manly? The 11th place Manly Sea Eagles. We are short favourites, live on Channel 9 on Sunday afternoon. So we've named Smith, Munster, Hughes, Jesse Bromwich, Marion Seve all back in the starting lineup. Obviously, we've got Brandon Cooper and Kenneth out. So looking at our back line, no real surprises. Marion being named winger was interesting.
I'd almost been
Sandor the other one. I think Sandor was okay. It's hard to judge in a game like that.
It's very hard to judge a game like that because it wasn't a game where they were able to do much, let alone do anything. They couldn't really get space to do anything.
Brinko Lee's back. That's a good in. Munster, Hughes, and Smith have all been named. So I guess the real question is, Dubs, do you think that's actually how they're going to run out on Sunday?
Look, I would be delighted, but genuinely surprised if all those senior players came back from injury. I suspect we're holding our cards a little bit close to our chest. But I would certainly love to get Hughes back. If not, then Munster back to have a good kicker playmaker, or Smith. At least one of those 3 back would be very handy. 2 would be great. We know that Jesse Bromwich will come in. There's no reason for him not to. I would think of those key players. I'm going to just take a guess because of the way things usually work out. One of them will pull out before the game. One of them is not likely to play. One of them is there on hope more than on prediction. But I couldn't tell you who. Maybe Munster, because it was a knee injury and it had recurred. Maybe they will be a little bit more cautious with him, especially if they can get Hughes and Smith back in there and have less urgent need for a Munster to be out there leading. But time will tell. I'm interested to see Eisenhuth named in the second row. Good on him, hopefully.
And Nelson at lock.
That was a bit different too. I sort of think of Nelson as a big body, maybe as a prop or a second row. But hey, Nelson at lock, why not? Good to see him starting.
Yeah. I'm a bit pessimistic. I'm not sure if you're going to see both Smith and Munster. I'm pretty confident Hughes will be there, but I guess time will tell. Let's look at the interchange. So Tino, Sandor, Darren Schoening, and Nico. I thought Nico looked good when he came on. I thought he's that one kick out on the full, but immediately when he started kicking, it was a little bit different. I think Cooper Johns, again, it's his first game in first grade. His kicking was a little bit predictable, but at least Nico was trying some different things. So
yeah, I think this is a reward for someone who tried to mix it up and is actually trying to carve out a path for themselves on the side. And I say good luck to Nico. He may not hold his spot in finals if everybody gets fit, but I'd love to see what he can do in the short term.
Yeah, definitely. Reserves. So Jax has been named, even though he's injured. We got Chris Lewis, Albert Vitae, Isaac Lumalume. Not really familiar with him. And Manly, bunch of grubs and cheats. We don't really need to go through them.
Yeah, you can pretty much say
pretenders.
That fine, yeah.
Where's their biggest? Here we go. This bloke. He's a pretender. He's gone. He's been shocking, hasn't he? Like I think was it Joey Johns was saying a week ago, like when you're Trbojevic. Trbojevic is out. Like he's got to take on that responsibility, and he's been pretty quiet. Now, hopefully, I haven't jinxed this. And
I was going to say, don't say too much. Don't say too much because it's only when a player who does have ability gets bagged and steps up against a hated opponent that he'll likely do something. So I'm going to say he's the greatest player I've ever seen. He's a serious threat. Joey Johns is just jealous because he wanted to be able to do what Cherry Evans does. There you go. I said it. Greatest player in history. Expect him to score 7 on Sunday.
And Fanua Blake's back. I wonder if he's going to be commenting on the referee and maybe calling him the referee anything.
I hope so. I hope he decides to run his mouth because that usually ends up well for him.
Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, let's see if that sort of Melbourne Manly biff is brought back. I remember that game in Amy Park a couple of seasons
I
ago.
remember.
I
remember Curtis
Scott. That's right.
That was fun.
We lost, and yeah, we've lost our last 2 games at Amy Park to Manly, which is
we have. So this could actually be they don't get to beat us on home soil if they win here. It's up at Sunshine Coast. Maybe that takes away a little bit of the desire to knock us off at home, and maybe it takes away a little bit of pressure of maybe they get fired up with a parochial crowd because they know we hate them.
Yeah. So where do you see the scoreline ending up here, Dubs?
Well, given their defence is a little bit shot, I actually expect them to tighten up significantly. I still think that we can get this one done, but I don't think we're going to see a blowout, anything like we saw when they went down on the weekend. I think, South Sydney obviously got the better of them and made hay while the sun shone. But I would be surprised if any side with that much pride goes into a game without a serious defensive mindset. So I'm going to suggest it's going to be something more like a 3-try-to-1 type game, maybe 20-6 or something. I think we'll have enough to break them down, but a bit like we did to Parramatta, I don't expect they'll come into this game giving an inch, and I don't think they'll try to take too much on. They'll be desperate to. Here's the other side: they lose this week, it's pretty much the end of their season. They might decide, well, we're just going to throw everything at it and see what happens. And maybe we end up with a more entertaining game than that. But I doubt it somehow. I think they'll build defence first.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think we'll win this one. By how much? I guess it just depends on who comes in for us. Again, we talked about the 3 players coming back, but not necessarily all 3 will start, or 3 players being named. What was I going to say about Manly? I honestly think last week, I think that was it from them. Like that they were playing for their season last week, and that was their performance. So I reckon they may have been broken last week, and I'm hoping that's the case. And yeah, I can't see us losing this one. So
sports psychology is interesting.
Yeah,
either of us could be right in that assessment, and it would make sense either way. Either they have been broken, or they figure this is their last desperate hope.
Yeah, desperate. I mean, that's it. If they do lose this week, it is definitely over.
It's done. Yeah, they're about a 5% chance at the moment. This would make it a 0.05 if we beat them. Yeah.
All right. Dubs, shall we move on to Pol's ponderings now?
I want to hear Pol's ponderings. Tell me everything that's gone through your head this week, mate.
All right, this week, I don't know. I can't remember what. I think what inspired me for this one. I don't know what inspired me for this one, but I'm going to look at some this week, we're going to look at Melbourne Storm graffiti / street art / murals, whatever sort of you want to call it, that big public walls with Melbourne Storm stuff on it. So I've got a bit of a collection here that I found. So let me just get this up. A few of the locations quite easily we can sort of pick where they are. But the other ones, hang on, sorry, where'd it go? Sorry, I'm a bit of a. Let me just get this up again. But a few of them are actually, I'm not sure where they're actually located, but. Maybe here we go. So can you see that? Are we on sharing?
See you perfect now. Well, we know where that. Well, there we go.
Oh, sorry. This is our first. I don't know where this one is, but this one's really cool.
I really like that 2017 premieres with the Melbourne CBD skyline. It's very nicely done. There's an artist name down the bottom right, I think. Or maybe that's just a.
Is it? Yeah. Sorry, I can't. I did look up one of the artist names. I didn't even plug, but I forgot. So sorry.
That looks like it's something that's been commissioned by a local council or by the club or something like that. It's a very nicely professionally done one.
Yep, really like that one. This one's Billy Slater.
Happy to not. That's clearly Richmond train station, the bridge coming across Swan Street there.
Now, this artist, I'm really, I should have wrote his name down, but he's done a whole bunch of this rugby league sort of, not just rugby league, he's got his own website. Maybe I'll endeavour to find him and I'll put his name in the description of the video. He's done a bunch of ones for other teams too in Sydney. So, but really cool. Yeah, but look how lifelike. It looks like a photo. It's amazing.
It really does. That is exceptional work. Exceptional portrait work there.
Yeah. Now this one. This is a recent one. This is as you can see with the Storm man with the mask. This is Molly Meldrum's wall. Have you ever passed Molly Mount
I
Meldrum's
have a
house?
few times. I have in my many trips into the MCG or Amy Park. There is a way you can cut through to if you want to avoid some of the through traffic. I think I can't remember the name of the street. It's not Johnston Street, but it's one of those streets that runs up towards East Richmond Station. Beg your pardon, West Richmond Station.
Yeah, so Molly
Yeah.
loves changing up his artwork on his wall. I've driven past it once accidentally, and I was going to think, "What is the Melbourne Storm thing on someone's wall?" So that's obviously recently.
And he's
Yeah,
got St Kilda on the other half of that, which is his other sporting love. But Molly,
yeah,
of course, a huge
good
Melbourne
good on
Storm
him.
fan.
We're actually well, when I say we, it's more my fiance. She's making a fence for us now, and
Nice.
you know, she's like, "What color should I get it? This stain and that stain?" I'm like, "Well, can we paint the fence like navy, purple, white, and and yellow?" And she's like, "I don't think so." I was like, "I want a fence that shows you your team."
Now that
Um,
is beautiful.
this is Molly Meldrum's wall again, obviously at a different time. He's got Ryan Hoffman, Cooper Cronk still in there, obviously. Storm
Cooper
continues.
Cronk's just had a little bit of a line or a question mark put next to it, maybe an asterisk.
Oh, there you go. 2012 grand final, if you can see under that Getty Images watermark. This one was down Hosier Lane. So I think the famous Hosier Lane 356. This is celebrating Cam Smith breaking the all-time games record. So this was a pretty cool one. Don't know if this one's still there.
A couple of years back, a fantastic achievement by Cameron. And he just keeps building on that record too, trying to make sure that no one ever passes it.
Yep. This one is back in 2017. I don't know where this is now. You have to look hard to see the Storm reference. So you can see it's Melbourne City. So this was after before the 2017. So you got the big tiger. So it's Eat the Crows, because I believe Richmond played Adelaide, and then Fry the Cowboys. And you can see it's a cowboy hat getting electrocuted there. So I threw this one in there because it's not really that obvious. But
now that's not Hosier Lane, but actually that's close to it, isn't it? I think that's
I don't know.
It's not AC/DC Lane, is it?
Don't know. You probably know. I rarely go into the CBD anymore.
Those windows are very familiar. I couldn't tell you exactly where it is though.
Yeah,
but that's pretty cool.
The next
that's also very cool.
That's the same artist as the Billy Slater one, and I believe this is also at Richmond Station.
That certainly looks like Richmond Train.
Yep. Again, really lifelike. A bit incompleted there, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this one's up there at the moment. So if you live within 5 kilometres of Richmond Station, get out there to take a photo with it.
Go and enjoy it.
Yeah. Now this one is at Melbourne Storm, but this was just a funny one I found when I was looking for stuff. Chris,
don't bother after.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of communicating with someone, considering you've got all these different forms of ways you can communicate and contact people these days. But there you go. That's Paul's Ponderings. Melbourne Storm graffiti street art murals from...
Outstanding.
Yeah.
That's
if I missed anything, and if anyone knows anything, then send it through. I really like that stuff.
I do love a good bit of street art and sport. It's a great way to capture the feelings and the heart of the community around it. And clearly, Richmond Train Bridge, very close to Amy Park and the original graveyard itself, clearly somewhere where Billy Slater and Cam Smith have provided a lot of joy over the years.
Yeah. All right, Dubs, are we time to wrap it up with the meme review?
Get onto those memes, mate. Let's give the people what they want.
All right. This week we've got a what do you call it? A moving...
a GIF?
A bit of, well, it's not a GIF, it's a video. So let me share my Facebook with you all. I need to make sure I share my audio here. So again, this is from the Simpsons one. Let's crank up the volume. Let's make it big.
They called him the Galloping Gazelle.
Let's go back. Here we go.
They called him the Galloping Gazelle. His habitat, the frozen tundra of Soldier Field. For 6 seasons and 2 Pro Bowls, he grazed on the tasty green turf of the end zone. Until one fateful Sunday in November, when the Gazelle was stopped in his tracks by a big cat named Wayne Krzyzewski.
Right, I'm going to start with the...
That was great.
If anyone who knows their Simpsons reference, the funny thing is you didn't share that with me before, man, but knowing that scene as I do, as soon as I heard that, I knew exactly what was coming. That was beautiful.
That was great from Olam. I don't know how he'd get penalised for that.
No penalty. No one even stopped. The funny thing is no one reacted.
No one cared. It was just a great...
Like, maybe his teammates just like, yeah, that's what he does. We know that.
He cartwheeled. It was brilliant.
It was just comical. And he just got up. He didn't even seem to get that angry about it.
Nah, good on him.
Maybe
all right, let's continue on. Let me just get the old still memes up. So this isn't a meme. I got this from it's called Useless Rugby League Facts Facebook page, and I spent way too much time on that, and I found this really funny. So Blake Ferguson has done more on-field blackouts and scored tries this season, 0 tries. In round 1, he did a backflip after he thought he scored a first try of the season. There we go, Blake Ferguson. Now, this isn't a meme either. This is good old Brandon Smith posted this.
Cheese himself.
And this kind of summarised our feeling after this game, I thought. Unfortunately, I've been done for biting this week, Seawell in 4 weeks. So, I think this really emphasised the fact that, we got a broken jaw and it's just play on. But, apparently we're doing crusher tackles left, right and centre.
It's funny
Good
how,
on you, Brandon.
Funny how you can coat hanger. You can coat hanger, but you can't fall on someone.
Yeah, exactly. 25-year-old Mary. This year I've been really hard supporting the Broncos. Yeah, you've got to have the Broncos in there. There was so many Anthony Seedbold ones today. And
goodness knows how much they gave it to the rest of the competition when they were good for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Time to, I guess, bit of their own medicine.
Reap what you sow.
And again, a bit dangerous because we're playing Manly this week, but this was obviously at halftime what Manly fans were thinking.
I'm going to disavow this because I'm going to try and push the good karmic energy by saying that this is a disgraceful attack on an amazing rugby league club, which will win everything that they ever attempt and are very handsome too. And Cherry Evans is the best halfback of all time. Now, this is enjoyable.
Yeah, this is very accurate from what we saw last Thursday. Sebo and I can't remember that guy's name. Anyway, yeah, milking. It's really ironic from Sebo. He's such a big, powerful guy, and he's like, "Oh, my neck hurts." But anyway,
and amazing how he was able to dance around for someone with serious neck damage towards the end of the game.
Exactly.
By the way, he celebrated too. It was clearly he won a premiership on Thursday night. Anyway.
Yeah. Now this one I felt, I know like Kevin Proctor was all last week, and again he was a great player for our club, and I feel he got hardly done by, but I did find this funny. So
you got to laugh.
Contact drills with Kevin Proctor, and I thought it was very clever that they saw that.
It is a bit.
Thought, yep. And this one, nice. Yeah, so they were playing in their mining tradie jersey, which they seem to play quite poorly in. But they somehow, or they seem to have bad luck in it, but they somehow won. But obviously, Blake Green's injured. He came back for about 2 games for him, and he's out for the rest of the season. So
the face is the best bit of that meme. It just looks vacant.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the last meme. So did you hear what's happened with the English Super League or the news coming out of there? So
fill me in.
Papa John's Pizza. So I sometimes watch the English Super League highlights, and at the very start, there's a Papa John. At the start and the end, it's a Papa John's Pizza ad. Oh, yeah, they're obviously sponsoring the league. Turns out they're getting $0, but the players get free pizza from Papa John's. That's what the sponsorship is worth. So that's a bit of a meme having a stab at that. That the English Super League or the European Super League, whatever you want to call it, is has signed up a sponsor for free pizza. So
I'm going to suggest money probably has more currency as it's a legitimate form of currency. But hey, I guess I'm not clever enough to run a league.
So that was a bit embarrassing for the Super League. And you don't want to see, like, we want the Super League to be strong, right? We don't want the Super League to fall away, and we want them to be strong and be competitive. And we want the league to be strong internationally, but that's quite a bit of an embarrassment.
That's embarrassing.
Especially
when you consider how much Papa John dyes his eyebrows. It is.
Yeah.
You've got a very woolly eyebrowed bloke giving you free pizza, and that just makes your league sound like you're basically a local Sunday league for a bunch of retirees, and the local pizza shop's a good bloke, so he's going to kick in a couple of free pizzas to help you get through the match on Sundays and just support you. It's not a legitimate business anymore. Anyway, my thoughts.
All right, Dubs, and that's the memes for the week. That was doing the meme rounds in around around 15. I'm going 15.
Outstanding work, Paul. We love your ponderings and your memes. You've brought us a bit of colour and life to this podcast. And with that in mind, we're going to say get behind the mighty Melbourne Storm this weekend to bounce back against the old foe Manly. Hopefully some of our freshly returned players can give us a bit of a boost. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on the Graveyard Shift. Paul, man, thanks very much, as always, for your company. And we're looking forward to our next episode.
Yep, thanks a lot, Dubs. Thanks again. And thanks to everyone who's been watching. And remember to share, with your friends. We want to try to get this out to as many people as we can. Go Melbourne Storm.